Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Real Estate Confidant School. I'm your host, Mike Razor, here in New York City. Hopefully, you all are doing amazing. Now, I was able to get my new golf club in the mail, just to let y'all know. Y'all know what time it is. But listen, I decided to do this quick video because I had a couple things on my mind. Show you a little game real quick. So the game is this. What would you do if you were going to purchase your first property? Right? Now, you have to take a lot of things into consideration when you are trying to figure this out. As a newbie investor, newbie real estate professional, just a family man or woman who says, hey, I don't want to pay rent anymore, or I want someone else to pay the rent for me. So what am I to do? So, in this case, the first couple things you want to establish is, first of all, figuring out what it is that you want. What type of property do you want? Do you want a 1 to 4 unit property? Do you want a storefront associated with the property where you have the ability to rent it out to someone, or you and your family could own a shop in that storefront while living in the property itself? Just have to figure those things out. And then you want to figure out the neighborhood, the locale. And what I would say, from an investor's perspective, you have to do some research. You have to figure out the best financial move for you to make. When you figure out the financial aspect of it, then you'll be able to maneuver in a better way. So, that being said, you do some research. You figure out the best neighborhood for you to move to. Now, see, this is the one thing that I have to be clear about is when it's your first investment, you really don't want to focus too much on where you want to live. You should focus more on where you need to live that is affordable enough for your finances, and obviously close enough to your workplace or your family's workplace and school, even if it's an hour to 2 hours on a train or something to that effect, because we're talking about future here. We're not talking about the now, right? So consider, sometimes you may have to walk the beaten path. You may have to go to various places in your city. You may have to go to the city across the bridge, across that water to see what the numbers are looking like. Sometimes you have to go 2 hours away to get the best possible option. Now, this is what I also want to say. Don't allow other people to stray you away from what makes sense to you. Okay? Be observant. And during this time, you should definitely get some folks who are professionals in the business, real estate agents and brokers. But also, too, you should be knowledgeable as far as the investor aspect of the business, because a lot of agents, a lot of brokers, they're not used to working in the capacity of dealing with investors, right? The other thing is, once you purchase the property, we're gonna be putting that property into your business name, and setting up an S Corp and an LLC, okay? One will be for managing your money, managing the property. The other one will be for holding the property itself. Why do you do that? In case someone tries to sue, that way there is no liability when it comes to your name. Okay? So the next step is having real estate agents and brokers look up properties for you, send them to you. You could also look up listings yourself on Zillow and various other platforms. Remember, 1 to 4 unit property, if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for a single family home, that's fine too, but we're talking about investment purposes. But it also works for a single family home. Now, what you are looking for is a way for you to utilize the FHA or the 403K rehab loan. Is it 403K? 43. Or the rehab loan, because in certain areas you'll be allowed to utilize the rehab loan, and you'll put down 5%. For the FHA, you have 3.5% down, which you probably already know this. But then also too, usually the county that you're in will have grants, and the agent or broker you're working with should be able to do some research on that. But you'll be able to get a grant for the down payment and closing cost if the county is working with programs that do that. And then what you want to do is you want to take that and you want to then have inspections done on the property. Now, this is after you have already walked through various properties, made a decision. Agents and brokers are going to tell you, you have to make a decision fast. And then they're going to want you to show proof. So don't be surprised if they ask you for some type of proof, financial proof, because they don't, they want you to either have a pre-approval or proof of funds. And, this way they're not wasting their time. Remember in their history, they may have had clients who have not been great clients, who have reneged out of deals and various other things. So we won't hold that to the fire. But do your due diligence. 1 to 4 units. Look at the tax rate in the neighborhood, in the county, because that's going to be significant. Definitely utilize the calculator on Bigger Pockets. I always suggest that. They already have it all together for you. All you have to do is plug everything in. I think there's a fee for that. And that document is actually a great document for you to use if you are presenting information to a mortgage lender, MLO. This way you already have the property in place. This way the numbers are already there, and then you could provide either your W-2s or your bank statements, bank letter if you just got the job out of college, that shows your income, and also your credit score. Even though the mortgage lender is gonna run your credit on their own, understand that this is just the process, but also to understand that you want someone who's seasoned in the game, someone who knows exactly what it is that they're doing. If you find that individual or those individuals, then you'll be okay. Now, the other thing that I want to say, all relationships are not going to go well. You're not always going to find the property that you're looking for. It's not always going to happen that way. I know. I mean, I have stacks and stacks of properties. I found that there have been neighborhoods that, how can I explain it? Where properties are being held by agents or brokerage firms for owners who want specific individuals to purchase the property, or they have them holding it so that the owners themselves, whatever problems they're in, they're able to come back and fix those problems and repurchase the property again. So there's going to be a couple of little pitfalls here and there. You're going to deal with people that you don't normally deal with. You're going to have to get an appraiser. You're going to have an inspector. Now, when you're doing this process, the mortgage lenders, they're going to have their own appraisers and all that other stuff and various things that they have to do on their end. But the most important thing is to show them that you, from a financial standpoint, that you are eligible to purchase the property. Now, some individuals are not financially in the right place to purchase 1 to 4 unit properties in certain neighborhoods, but they're able to purchase them in lower income neighborhoods. I wouldn't shy away from that. As long as the property looks good, it makes sense. Go ahead and do it. Start it. It's your first place. You can renovate the property if the property needs some work done. But also too, there's a lot of things that I think that if you bring a contractor in, when you go to look at these properties, it'll make it easier to make a decision. I've been through situations where we've looked through properties and, one day it looked fine, and then the next day it rained, and then in the basement flooded. It wasn't something that we were able to see at the time, but it just so happened that we had a secondary inspection and my business partner went, and that's what happened. And it wasn't the first time. There was other properties that had that same problem. So understand, all properties are not created equal. There was one property that was a 3-unit property with a storefront. It was 3 apartments, fully occupied, and the storefront was there. It was a great storefront. The only thing was the foundation wasn't great. The tenants were not great tenants. Like I said, the foundation, and then there was a huge hole into the sewage line that was on the side of the house. Now, one thing I can also tell you is that there's going to be times where the property's photos look amazing. When you get to the property, it looks terrible. Or you have these properties that are being sold by people who don't even live in this country, who live in a whole other country, whole other state. They don't even know that their property is in shambles, or they just recently received a letter or something from the state saying, hey, the property is not in good condition, you're gonna get sued, and all of this and all of that. Okay? But think about the possibilities, ladies and gentlemen. You get a 1 to 4 unit property with a storefront. Preferably, I prefer brick. If you could find a brick property in a lot of city type locations, They also have garages, 1, 2, 3, 4 garages per unit. That's there also. If you could do that, that you have the ability to make money double, triple time. You can increase the rents. But remember, everything is relative. You playing a game of chess here. Also, too, remember, once you do the inspection, if you're doing FHA, FHA has certain requirements. A lot of property owners who are seasoned, they don't want to deal with that. Some agents don't want to deal with it either. They'll try to push you to do a different type of loan. They want to close fast. Everybody, a lot of people is out for the money, and hey, don't blame them. That's what they're here for. The thing is, the only concern that I have is relationships, and is the entertaining people's attitudes. I think, and me having been in business for a long time, I think some people believe that a certain attitude pushes them further in business, while others, limits their growth. And to an extent, I think that's true. But also, too, I think both aspects limit growth. Recently, I had a conversation with someone who was a family member, and the attitude is what stopped me from doing business. It had nothing to do with not want to do it or whatever. See, arrogance only goes but so far. Know-it-alls only go but so far. And this is why they say, I guess this is why they say don't do business with family. Even though I try my best to, excuse me, I try my best to do things that incorporate family in terms of business. That's the first group of people I have in my mind when I'm making business decisions is family. And unfortunately, even myself, sometimes, I'm disappointed in family. Sometimes things happen, and we all humans. We all human beings. Things happen. So you forgive, and then you move on. If that person still wants to reach out to you, talk to you, vice versa, great. And if not, hey, it is what it is. You just got to keep on moving. But anyway, see, once you get through the process of purchase, once you go through the paperwork, all of that paperwork, you should get the paperwork signed. Everybody's happy, blah, blah, blah. The other thing I want to say really fast is to try to get a property that's undervalued. You can negotiate the property's price undervalued. So if you could find a townhouse or something for $65,000, $70,000, it might need a little work. You might already have a tenant in there in one of the units. The value of it might be $65,000. You tell them, hey, there's work that needs to be done. Take off $5,000. I try to do 10. In all the deals, I try to do around the $10,000 mark, and it's usually approved and it goes through or whatever. So then you work through that process. Once the inspections are done and everything, and you have the property, you have the deed. I think getting the deed, like I had a land deed not too long ago, and that took months, and I don't understand. I don't deal with that part. I let the attorneys and all of the other folks handle that, the stamp of approvals, and I get it in the mail, and we call it a day. But once you get the property, the 2 to 4 unit with the storefront, you can kind of figure out where you want to go from there. You could turn a storefront, like I said, into a coffee shop. And usually a lot of these neighborhoods that have the storefronts are either streets with stores already a part of them, or you'll be able to get a gem where it's a neighborhood where this storefront is the only storefront that's on the block, which will give you the opportunity to make money, double up on your money as a coffee shop, maybe a breakfast place, maybe just a little candy store or something to that effect. And then you're renting each unit out to different families, and you live in one of the units, and now you're living rent free. The mortgage is being paid by the tenants, and you are an intricate part of the community now, because now you have opened up a coffee shop that sells coffee, newspapers, donuts, things that help people who are everyday workers get up early in the morning, come in, get some coffee, maybe play their lotto numbers or something to that effect, and move on. That's the best part of their day. But then remember also to, I keep jumping back and forth, but remember also to check the tax rate for the area. It's not just about, that's what the calculator is on bigger pockets. You wanna look at all that, okay? All the expenses, the purchase, the amount that you're purchasing it for, the appraised value, all that stuff. And when you own properties like this, you usually have to pay, what is it called? Like sewage, what's it called? The people that come and pick up the garbage for you, you have to pay that stuff. You pay to have that stuff. So yeah, but hopefully this is some valuable information that I gave you. It's a lot and it was quick, but it's some good information. You take that and you work from there. Now I could go into detail and all that good stuff. That's not a problem. You could go back and listen to some of my older videos if you want to. But everything's there. All right. So, and I know you guys probably have questions about interest rates. Some don't, but that's going to happen. We have been given the opportunity to have very low interest rates for several years, and that was the abnormal part. So we're just now going back to the way that it originally was, and there's nothing wrong with that, because all you have to do is when you purchase the property, and it goes up in value, or you do some renovations or something to that effect, you appraise it again to see what the value once everything's renovated, and then you could refinance. Or when after a while the mortgage is being paid up by the tenants, you could go ahead and refinance then 70% of the loan, and then you could take that and then go and get another property or whatever. It's really not anything to worry too much about. You just have to know what you're doing. I know some people who want to sell their homes, and like I said, it all comes down to you knowing what you have to do. And sometimes knowing what you have to do, it's harder than, knowing what you have to do is easier than actually doing it. You may have elderly in your property. You may have people who need the home, but unfortunately they can't afford it. So you find alternative means, if that's something that you want to do, but It all depends. All right, so that's gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen. Good talking to you, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Later.